Board of Appeals. I'd like to open the meeting by asking you to join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Brian, if we may have a roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Harder?
Present.
Mr. Epping?
Present.
Mr. Ritchie?
Here.
Mr. Wallace?
Here.
Mr. Zurich?
Here.
Great. We have all of our members present. I appreciate that. Gentlemen, we have an agenda in front of us. It was published online. Get a review of the agenda, and if everything looks in order, a motion to accept.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
We have a motion in support of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda to follow tonight. I'll go over the agenda with the audience, both online and in the room here. We have just a few items. We go through first public comment. It's an opportunity for anybody online or in the room to speak to the Zoning Board of Appeals and therefore to the township as a whole on anything that's not on the agenda. So if there's anything tonight that's not on the agenda that you'd like to talk about, we'll have an opportunity to do that. We'll then move into unfinished business. We have one case of unfinished business. We'll then move into new business. We have one case under new business. And then we'll ultimately review our minutes from our October 1st meeting and close out the meeting at that point. So at this point, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak at anything that's not on the agenda tonight for public comment? Nothing? Brian, is there anybody online that would like to speak on anything during public comment on an item that's not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I will close public comment. We'll move right on to unfinished business. The way we'll do this for both.
Sorry,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry, this is Ryan Christensen, Township member. I just was curious if this would be the time that I would comment. I understand that based on number F, that there is no plan for actual development, but we're rezoning. And I would like to address the zoning board regarding like how we as township members can be a part of a master plan that is not being followed because you're giving everybody a variance on how the master plan is supposed to be followed. So I don't want that to be out of order, sir, and I'd like to know when I can speak to that. My name is Dr. Ryan Christensen, and I'm a member affected by item F.
Perfect, Dr. Christensen, I appreciate that. You are right at the right time. We'll hold you off. We'll close out public comment. I'll go into item F right now, and we'll go through it, and you'll have an opportunity at that point at which to speak. So with that, we'll move on to unfinished business. The way we'll do it for both unfinished business and new business is I'll read the case into the record. In other words, what the applicant is asking for. We'll then ask the applicant to come up to the podium and introduce yourself, give us your name and address, and then just walk us through your application. What are you asking for? What is specifically, why are you asking for that as it relates to some type of planned project or situation on your property? Our board is the Zoning Board of Appeals as opposed to the Planning Commission or the Township Board, which really means that we're looking for evidence of anything particular that's related to your property and your application that would cause a concern or a reason to consider going outside of our ordinance. The Planning Commission is here to support our ordinance. Obviously, we support the ordinance as well, but we address cases that seek to go outside of the ordinance. At that point, after the applicant gives us that description, we'll then bring it back to the board. We'll ask a number of questions, really just trying to have a conversation with you to understand the project. We'll then open it up, in the case of the unfinished business, to Dr. Christensen and anybody else in the public who has questions related to that particular item. We'll do the same thing for new business, open up for public comment. We'll look to see if we had any emails or any other communications. We'll bring it back to the board at that point, probably ask some additional questions, and then ultimately seek to make some type of resolution in the application. Does that make sense, Dr. Christensen? So we'll call on you after we go through a little bit of time here. With that, I will call case number 25-015, Sam Patel, petitioner requesting 3 total variances. The first being a 3.163 acre lot area variance from parcel A. The second being a 227.79 foot lot width variance from parcel A. And the third variance request being a 3.005 acre lot area variance from parcel B, all from section 4.18D, table 4.18, in order to create a lot split for an existing property at 5529 and 5541 Sashabaw Road, which is in the C2 Planned Shopping Center District of our ordinance. This case was here on October 1st. At that point, we had identified notification issues, so the property was renoticed in the paper and online, and we appreciate you coming back here tonight. So is the applicant,
Yes.
sir, if you could come up, help me with the pronunciation of your name, I apologize.
Patak.
Patak, perfect. And,
Here, okay.
and give us your name and address. As you're setting up there, I'll also say, anybody in the room who's going to speak tonight, including you, sir, as you're leaving, if you could put your name and address on the sign-up sheet at the door so that we make sure we get that correct in our minutes. And as we hear from people online, we'll make sure that we get your name and address also. So, good evening.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity. My name is Sami Patak. My address is 2009 Hazel Street in Birmingham, Michigan. What I'm here today is for the lot split. So just to give you a little bit of history of this lot split was approved a year ago, went through the ZBA. As you may know, this is the lot where the CVS and the Chase Bank are together. This was one lot. CVS decided to sell part of their lot, so we purchased it. Last year, this was approved and done and was pending on paying the property taxes to go through. For some reason, Chase Bank did not pay their property taxes on time, so we had to go through the process again. Just to give you a little bit of history, I'm sure some of you are aware of it. So today I'm standing in front of you here. I purchased the spot from CVS based on the previous split, and I'm just here in front of you to ask you to reconsider that split again. We're not looking for any rezoning or any repurposing of the lot. It's just we're splitting the lot to 2 parcels.
Okay, so you are right. In fact, this was has been before the ZBA, I think, twice over the last several years, and it's the parcel is at its original conception back in the early 2000s or so, was determined to be, as part of the Sashabaw Road expansion, it's my understanding it was determined to be a non-conforming lot of record, but it is one parcel currently
That's
with
correct.
2 buildings on it, 2 addresses, the Chase Bank and the CVS, and you're asking to have it split, which would essentially further the complication, because at that point then neither of those lots would be conforming, so we'd be taking it from one non-conforming lot of record to essentially 2 non-conforming lots at that point from a zoning point of view. That makes sense. In other words, under the C2, there's certain dimensions of the lot. Currently, they do not meet that, and we'd be essentially creating 2 parcels that don't meet it at that point, just by way of clarification.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Yes, I understand, but at this time, these lots, they have 2 different owners. Because I purchased it originally based on that split that was approved previously. So right now, I own the lot where Chase Bank is, based on the original split and the approval of that. And CVS owns their lot, so there's 2 different owners, technically for one lot.
Excuse me, but.
Yes, sir.
You said you bought the one lot
Yes.
that is not a separate lot.
So,
No,
yes,
that wasn't my question.
okay.
You said you did it based on the split that was allowed. Was the split allowed?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Actually, the split was approved
And
by
then
the
it
ZBA.
expired.
Yeah, was approved by the ZBA, but I believe there's a rule in Independence Township that they don't go through until the end of the year and the taxes are paid.
Well-
And this lot, it's a triple net lease, so Chase Bank pays the taxes, we don't pay the taxes. We assume that these guys will pay their taxes on time. And for that reason, if the taxes would have been paid on time, we wouldn't be here today. They didn't pay it on time, so I called the township and they said, well, you gotta come back and do the application again and go through the process again. And this is the reason that I'm here today.
Brian, to be clear from a procedural point of view, the ZBA, which is made up of different members, or at least a portion of them different last year,
And a different owner.
the ZBA granted a variance for dimensional lot application. We did not grant a lot split. Presumably, the applicant then went to the assessor's office, filled out an application to do a lot split, and filed that paperwork. And typically, lot splits in Oakland County all take effect on January 1st, with the assumption that all the taxes are paid.
That's correct. It's
So-
at the assessing office.
Right, so the ZBA did not grant a lot
Oh,
split.
okay.
We essentially created the ability for the assessing office to process it.
Okay, and this
Just
is-
from a,
We don't have the authority to grant a split.
that's
Okay, so that was my understanding, so. I'll probably-
It's a
yeah,
nuance,
probably.
but just so that we're
Yeah.
clear about what our authority is and
Oh,
so forth.
Okay.
Okay,
I think,
with that, I'll
did Neil
bring,
have something more to say or no
Well,
at this time?
yeah, I'm still confused. So which part of the lot did you buy?
So I bought the Chase Bank, where the Chase Bank sits currently. This is the part of the lot I bought, which is a little bit over an acre.
I'm fine for now.
Ellen, any questions or thoughts?
I was on the board at the time of the original vote, and I realize now that I'm not sure that, and it's, they've lost the grant by not going ahead and filing the split back when it was approved and getting it all done. But with the knowledge of what I know now of the Sashabaw corridor and different elements, I don't know that we originally could have allowed that split, or said that we could do the dimensional split
Modification.
that was approved by, not this board members, but it was, this is a new board, but
Yeah, I wasn't on the board then, but I have a similar concern to the one I think you're expressing. I don't know that we have the authority to do this. This is within the Sashabaw overlay district. And those parts of our ordinance specifically say that you can only develop properties based on either a special land use with a site plan or a PUD. And I think the rationale behind that, the reason for it, is so that the planning commission, not us, they do site plan review along with special land use, or a PUD that I believe still goes to the township board after the planning commission.
That's correct.
Final approval. That gives those arms very specifically in the ordinance, the jurisdiction over how those properties will be developed, including making any changes to the ordinary dimensional requirements. So I don't believe this should even be here.
this reminds me of a case we had last month that we couldn't deal on because it was beyond our scope.
Well, that was a timing thing, I think, too, wasn't it?
I don't even, as it relates to this case, the zoning board of appeals by state statute has very, very specific jurisdiction. And the question being asked here is number of issues going on with the property in question at Maybe and Sashaba. Within that area from about Maybe and Sashaba all the way up north to Fleming's Lake on both sides of Sashaba and a little bit down Walden is an area of our township, an overlay district, a zoning overlay district called the Sashaba Road Overlay District. And that does a lot of good things like unifies landscaping, creates public spaces, tells where buildings can be built to and so forth. And that lays on top of our ordinance. And there's only two ways to develop within the Sashaba Overlay District, and as Mr. Wallace points out, that's either through a special land use approval or a plan unit development. My guess is, and I'm fairly certain that I'm accurate, is that the original CVS in Chase Bank was developed under a special land use. It would have had to have been because of the drive-through and a few other things. And so at that time, the Planning Commission would have the ability to talk about side yard setbacks or building heights or location of parking and those type of things. It's within the scope of that zoning vehicle. The ordinance, at least as it relates to plan unit development, specifically says that the zoning board of appeals can't weigh in at all, that that's really between the planning commission and ultimately potentially the township board, but never the zoning board. And so I think what's being raised here is that we simply may not have the authority to grant that variance or even consider it, that it really would become a site plan issue if any changes were to happen to that property. Let's say you wanted to put on an addition or move something, that would go to the planning commission. The planning commission would have the authority of the jurisdiction to weigh in on that and work with you or any applicant on that situation.
If I may, can I ask a couple more questions? So you bought the portion of a lot that Chase Bank is on, is that right?
That's correct.
And who did you buy that from?
From CVS.
And CVS owns the balance of this lot at this time?
Yes, sir, that's correct. So technically, nothing is getting changed. Landscaping, planning, nothing is changing. It's exactly the same, and it's conforming to the way it is. We're just splitting that lot to two lots, so, we own Chase Bank, and CVS owns the remaining parcel. I mean, right now,
Do you have any rights with respect to the balance of the property? Do you have, for instance, an option to buy that property or a right of first refusal if they decide to sell it?
the rest of it,
Yes.
I'm not sure. I'm
You're
not
not-
sure if I have the right to buy the rest of it or the first. I mean, I guess if it goes on the market, I probably can buy it, but I don't know if I have the first right of refusal.
You don't know?
No, I don't.
How do you buy a
I-
piece of property without a formal meets and bounds survey of it? That's what I'm trying to.
So Brian maybe can elaborate on this, but when I bought it, the lot was split. There was two parcels, as you may see
I
in
think there's
in that survey.
Yeah.
he's calling this, a split was approved, and
It was never-
what?
Well, it was,
Split was never approved.
well,
The
Through the
variance,
clerk's
I guess,
office and
was.
the county.
Well,
was
they were planning on it,
Let's-
right?
Brian?
Yeah, the previous split, this drawing never happened.
Right.
It never got
So
processed
it was a
through.
proposed split?
Correct.
Okay.
This went to the assessing office, the split committee reviewed it, that's why it went in front of the zoning board of appeals.
The last time?
Yeah, the last time, and then after the zoning board of appeals takes action, then it goes back to the assessing office and they process the formal split with Oakland County. But they also, there's some things that, they have to check off, like paid taxes, et cetera. They never went through with the split. So this drawing.
How is it the split never went through?
Because they didn't pay their property taxes.
And if that-
Okay, and
if-
then, the ZBA prior variances lapsed.
Yes, correct. It went past, the formal year that you are granted a variance, and then it became lapsed or expired.
So somebody represented to you that the property had been split, and
Yeah,
in
and-
fact, it hadn't been.
Yeah,
That's
this
true,
is,
so
Okay,
I
so-
bought it in these bases, that it's,
You didn't buy, you earlier said that you bought it on the basis that the split had been approved.
once the taxes are paid by the end of the year.
Well-
That's the way it was presented to me, like, the process is done, it's just a matter of a process now. The taxes get paid at the end of the year, then it's pretty much done. And we bought it based on this.
Seems like that was a critical element to happen, you know, I guess in hindsight is 2020, but it would have been good to verify on the last
Did
day
you
of the
get-
year
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
they were.
did you get
paid.
title insurance at the time you purchased the property?
I believe there was, yes, I believe. I mean, I'm assuming like if the taxes would have been paid on time by Chase Bank, this would have been done, no?
I don't know, that's
I mean,
not our,
technically,
that's not something we deal with day in and day out.
but Brian, there's a question to you, would that been done if that,
Well,
if the tax would have
the
been
fact
paid?
is, the fact is it lapsed,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, what's being asked of us is not to split a lot, but it's to consider these dimensional variances.
That's
I think
correct.
what's been identified is irrespective of the lot split and whether or not it happened on the 31st or the 1st of this year. Irrespective of that, it really comes back to the core question, not of a lot split, but is this board empowered to consider those variances and grant those variances? Let me go back to, we've got two other members here who haven't had the opportunity to speak yet. I apologize for that kind of jerk. Any thoughts that you have,
Well,
questions?
If somebody could just give me one or two sentences on why we're thinking that because of this, corridor, I can't find the right word. Sashball corridor, project is the reason why we shouldn't have this in front of us. Can somebody summarize that?
Yeah, I thought I had.
You
but-
did, but
Yeah,
I'm a
the
little
ordinance,
slow.
the ordinance specifically says that if you're developing property within the Sashball overlay district, there are only, it uses that word, there are only two ways to do it. A planned unit development or a special land use approval at the same time as a site plan approval. And my judgment is reading the overall, it's 9.3 or something, but reading the whole thing is, the whole point of that was to give the township, through the planning commission and the township board, the ability to modify some of these requirements. And there's additional requirements just for the Sashball corridor that trump all the other dimensional requirements. But they want, I believe, they want to be able to control that. If there's going to be changes to dimensional requirements, you're going to come at us through these two processes. I have some other questions if I.
To
Yeah.
add another thought to that, and so therefore, if that analysis is not unique to this property, it's consistent for any properties up and down
Right.
Sashball.
Right.
And I have been through this meeting starting to think, okay, whatever, and frankly, I can't remember offhand, other than signs, which are a separate ordinance unto themselves, anything within Sashball, from Fleming's Lake to maybe, that has
But-
come for a dimensional
But
variance.
that sort of proves the point. because-
Exactly.
Because what would have happened if Kroger was developed or one of the office buildings or such as that, and they say, well, this is an odd lot, we've got an odd circumstance here, we need equity, not strict adherence to the rule, that can be done in a PUD and
Absolutely.
in a special land use.
Right.
So I think that's why you don't have
Well, that's what I mean. So
variance
it's-
requests from up and down Sashball.
Correct.
Is this, Brian, is this a similar
That makes sense,
situation as the people that
Yeah, I
bought the
just
property on Mabee Road and were
struggle
gonna put a car wash and
The
couldn't
goal
because of the
originally
Sashabaw
was
corridor
so somebody could
restrictions?
Sell a piece of this
That
land.
was, that's,
And
that
there would be
area
so
there
many
is a
other
commercial
handcuffs that
condominium
somebody couldn't make
where the
something bigger
Kroger Plaza
because there's
is,
not enough parking
and,
spots or-
that went through
there's
the
a bunch of
PUD
other-
process.
Yeah.
And, they did not, after a preliminary PUD review, they didn't come back,
Okay, I just,
just due to a number of site circumstances.
because I
But
was,
their old Regency Center, that's what that was called, was split into a commercial condominium with outlots.
I
and a
just
part of
happened to
it.
be here when that meeting was going on, I don't know why, but, and that brought a point of the Sashabaw corridor restrictions to
Yeah,
mind.
that was a special land use site plan in the C2 district for the Kroger Center. And then the outlots were all separate site plans. Similar to this, this was approved in 2005 as a CVS. Chase came in a year later and developed, and there's cross-access easements as part of this approval project. So that this was all approved on one property with meeting the overlay district, and they were special land uses at the time.
I have a couple other questions, if I may. In your application, at one point you said it would not be possible to even modify the current site outlet layout. And then at 9 in your application, you said the subject site could never be redeveloped if desired at a future date. So that makes it seem like there's something else here besides just the fact that you bought a portion of a lot without it actually being split.
I don't understand the question,
Well,
to be honest with you.
yeah, okay, well,
Honestly, I'm just gonna be like.
there's a handwritten application, I presume
so-
that you
so-
signed, so you filed it.
So I came to this meeting, I'm just gonna be honest,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you here. I came to this meeting, my understanding was just a routine process.
Procedural.
Procedure, and to be quite honest, I'm not prepared for these questions. The application was filled by my assistant, my manager. So just maybe phrase the question a different way, maybe I can answer it to you.
Well, I'm just reading your application, and it has these two comments in it
Okay.
that have nothing to do with everything you've presented here, and make me wonder if there's something else that's going on that I'm missing. The one comment was, it would not be possible to modify the current site layout.
As in, I mean, the site layout right now, it's Chase Bank and CVS.
I got that.
So I'm not looking to modify anything, I'm just
Well,
looking.
I don't know why
to-
that comment's in there.
I don't know if it's referring to anything. I mean, as simple as this, we own the Chase property, and we're looking to have our own split. Modified as in redeveloped, you mean, in
I
the
don't,
future?
I don't know, it's your application,
Yeah.
I'm asking that question
Yeah,
because
and
I
and
don't
I'm
know.
sorry, I'm just like not being able to answer you because.
The second one was at number 9 of your application that said, subject site could never be redeveloped if desired at a future date. And here's my concern, it goes back to this very jurisdictional and authority issue that I brought up. And it's this, if this site is to ever be redeveloped, it can't be through the ZBA. In other words, you're asking us to give you something, these variances, so that you could modify the current site layout or redevelop the property if desired. And we shouldn't be doing that. The nature of the Sashabaw Overlay District is that that authority belongs in the first instance with the Planning Commission and not the ZBA.
So, Mr. Wallace, that could be an error in the application, but I'm not looking to redevelop the site, I'm not looking to modify the site whatsoever. We're not looking to build anything else, I'm not looking to get rid of Chase Bank. I bought the property as an investor, and this is the end of it, I'm not looking to do anything with it.
So-
So if this, I'm sorry, but if this indicate that we're looking to modify the property as building, as a structure, that's not what I'm looking for. That's it.
Well, And we appreciate that, and that certainly isn't what we're considering, but I understand, Mr. Wallace, your concern is there something else going on? Why don't we, let me ask, Mr. Ritchie, I don't think I've asked you directly, if you've got any
You know, I
questions?
guess I'm only troubled by how you could close on property with, without all the proper documentation.
Right.
So
Right.
still confusing.
Mr. Petka, let me ask you to just hold for a minute. I'm going to open it up to, first of all, is there anybody in the audience? I believe, sir, you're here for the next application?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't we go to Dr. Christensen online? I know you wanted to speak on this. Maybe there's a few other people online. Dr. Christensen, if you could give us your name again and your address, and then let us walk us through your thoughts and concerns regarding this application.
Sure, thank you, board members, and, no, I'm coming as a township member. I live at 5457 Drayton Road in Clarkston. Literally, you can see right through the window there is the CVS. I'm the second house on the corner on Drayton. I just appreciate this thoughtful consideration of the board. I don't want to, I'm a proud member of living here for 12 years, and I've had a lot of questions about this. Mr. Patak's information on his application comes from a car wash development, and that would be not a very good neighbor for me. Not having a plan to develop this has me concerned. As a township member, like usually we can see what the developers are planning. And if he's simply an investor, I appreciate the councilman's questions about whether, or the board members' questions about what our scope is. And because we've intentionally developed this corridor to be a high-density corridor with respect to the neighbors who live here, as a longtime neighbor that lives here, I care a lot about this location, and my property values are set to be affected dramatically if we lose the easements. The last thing is, thank you for enforcing the standards of the boundaries and the easements and the places, because it's walking my dogs in the neighborhood. If everything gets narrowed, it's not going to be a fun place to live, similar to when the interstate's closed and we have all the traffic coming through. So I just really appreciate the board's thoughtful consideration, and I don't mean to speak against this particular situation, but it would be really helpful from a township perspective if this was clear both for locals and developers, so we don't get into the situation. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Doctor. Thank you. Is there anybody else online that would care to comment on this case? Right, is there, I can't tell what that
There's
G
one
is.
person, but
There's someone on the line with the initial G?
it's Gus.
Says
Oh,
Gus.
Gus, I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
can barely see G.
Now the other eye.
Yeah, exactly. Gus, are you here tonight to speak on either this case or the second?
I'm here listening mainly.
Okay, perfect. Well, if you want to speak up at any point, let us know. Thank you.
Will do, thank you.
Do you mind if I respond to the doctor's comment?
Please.
So I just want, Doctor, I want to assure you that I'm not looking to redevelop the property, and we're not looking to modify the property whatsoever. It's going to stay the same, it is, the same way it is and the same way it's been. So that's not our intention. I just want to, state that in front of you on the board.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate that too.
All right, I will close public comment regarding case number 1 under unfinished business. I'll bring it back to the board for any additional questions, thoughts, motions.
Yeah, I had a couple of things. One, I think then these comments were, that I just asked him about the redevelopment or modifying the current site layout, were specifically in the application to establish a basis for us to give a variance as a practical difficulty. So since that's not really part of the plan, it can't be a basis for us to grant the variance. I have a motion. Bear with me because I've been scribbling this out. I move to reject this set of variance requests because the ZBA lacks the jurisdiction and authority to grant these variances. This property is governed by the Sashabaw Town Center Overlay District pursuant to Section 9.04 of the ordinance governing this district, which requires it be submitted to the Planning Commission as a special land use request coupled with a site plan review or a PUD. This is specifically at section 9.04 B3. This is coupled with the ordinance section that has its own very specific guidelines intended to give the Planning Commission and the Township Board the authorities to determine whether or not to vary these requirements. And further, I move, as a part of this, to deny the request for the reasons that the applicant has failed to meet its burden to demonstrate that there is no other option. And I'll explain that in a moment. And B, that he's failed to demonstrate that there are the requisite practical difficulties, including no showing of exceptional circumstances of this property that make complying with dimensional requirements substantially more difficult than for the great majority of properties in the same district. And we find that the request to split this property, it would create the inability to comply with the dimensional requirements. So they are personal in nature and created by the applicant. And by that last part, I mean because he purchased a portion of a lot and now asking us to fix that. That's my explanation. That's the whole motion. I said I'd explain one other thing. Oh, it's up to the applicant for a variance to demonstrate that there are no other options, and there are. There's going back for a special land use approval alteration. And again, that should be at the Planning Commission, not here. That's my motion.
Can you add case number 2?
Oh, case number 25-015. I thought that was obvious.
Thanks. Just needs to be in the record.
So we have a motion, do we have support?
I'll support. Okay.
Any discussion on the motion, specific to the motion?
Supported.
I'm sorry?
Alan did.
Alan, I'm sorry. All right. At this point, I can't take questions. We'll answer any questions after but we have to move to a vote after.
I was just gonna make a quick comment, if you don't mind.
One
Is
quick
there a
comment.
way, since I didn't come prepared for this, I thought that was a routine, is there a way we can table it for next meeting till, I look into it a little further?
I think tabling it would be a disservice to you, because I don't think, there were two parts to my motion. One, that we don't have the authority to do this, and the second part was, if we do, you didn't meet our requirements to grant variances. But I think on the very first question of the authority, that you need to be seriously considering going to the Planning Commission with this request. And I think coming back here, that first part of my motion and what's before the ZBA, that first part is jurisdictional. It's an authority thing, and that's not going to change by anything you present.
Okay. So just, maybe a naive question, I know you weren't here the first time. How did the first time got approved by the ZBA or got the variance?
We can give you a copy of the minutes, but I
So what was the
think,
basis like if you have no authority? I'm just
Well-
curious.
Well, no, I can tell you, I was not on the ZBA
Yeah.
at that time, and so I guess I'm a set of fresh eyes looking at this, and it is not any sort of binding precedent that what a prior ZBA did.
I understand.
We're bound to follow. We need to make our own independent judgments.
So you're telling me the process would be to go to the Planning Commission?
Yes,
yeah, I mean, we can talk about that in a minute. I want to get through this vote, but then we'll give you some direction, not all the direction. but-
well, I think that's administrative anyway, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
But I'll give them some information. But, gentlemen, we have a motion that has been supported. Does anybody have any questions in terms of what the motion covered or need any clarification on it? With that, Brian, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Auger,
Yes.
Mr. Epping,
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Mr. Zurich.
Yes.
So, Mr. Petke, your motion was denied. You weren't granted the variances, dimensional variances to do that. As we've discussed here, and what was part of the motion is that this zoning board does not have the authority, the process, because of the overlay district, doesn't give this ZBA the authority to do that, and so we ruled on it based on that. There are other means to do it. I would talk with the zoning board and the,
Planning department.
the planning department, the building department, and they can give you direction on to going to the planning commission, who could potentially, we can't speak for them, but potentially could look at individual site plans for both parts of that, and potentially, get you what's needed for the assessor at that point. But it'd be more of a planning commission jurisdiction.
I mean, we were told to follow this process and to come in front of you, and this is the reason I'm here,
I appreciate that.
you know?
Clear
Yeah.
title to the land.
And I just followed what we were told to do.
Makes sense to me.
I understand that.
Okay,
Thank you for your time today.
okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, gentlemen, with that, we will move on to new business, case number 25-018. Michael Madden, petitioner, requesting two total variances. The first, a 5-foot rear yard variance, and the second, a 5-foot side yard variance, both from section 5.06A4, table 5.062, in order to have an existing shed, essentially to relocate an existing shed. This is at 5478 Boyne Highland Terrace, or potentially Trail? Trail. Which is in the R1A single-family residential portion of our neighborhood. Mr. Madden, is that you? How are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good. If you could give us your name and your address, and then just walk us through your application, please.
My name is Michael Madden. I live at 5478 Boyne Highland Trail. I'm here today to ask for this variance of 5 and 5 from my east property line and my north property line. The reason that I'm asking for this variance is unbeknownst to me. I went off of tribal knowledge from our cutting lines of lawns, our maybe inherited knowledge of the property, and the lack of follow through by a third party hired by through Home Depot. And my shed was placed 18 inches onto my most northern neighbor's property. I want to rectify the situation by getting my shed off. There are some pre-existing challenges with moving it to the ordinance compliance of 10 and 10. Two of them being one, my septic field, which is old in nature. It's, to my best knowledge, and they don't keep very good records at the Oakland County, it's prior to 2000 when they would do drawings, hand drawings. And then two, I have 3 mature trees, as you can see on those dots, that I would be opening my doors into constantly at an assumed cost of $3,500 per tree to remove in my backyard. I would also be cutting off my backyard from my 2 young children which utilize my backyard. My boy is 3.5 and my daughter is 12 weeks. We plan on being residents of, I've been a resident of Clarkston for now 10 years, just shy of 10 years. So I'd like to continue to be a resident. We have Bailey Lake right across the street basically from our neighborhood. We'd like our son to go there. We'd like our daughter to go there. I work for General Motors in manufacturing, so it's a centrally located position for me.
Perfect, thank you. Well, we certainly enjoy having you as a resident and a neighbor, so that's good. We don't want you to go anywhere. Understand that the shed was placed incorrectly, and we're trying to rectify that situation. The existing R1A for an accessory structure as opposed to a home, an accessory structure has a requirement to be 10 foot off of both the back, the rear, and the side yard setback. You're asking for essentially a 50% reduction or a 5-foot reduction in either case to tuck it a little bit more. I look at it individually as a member of the zoning board. Our charter really is to look for unique circumstances of a particular property that make it really impractical or a practical difficulty to follow the ordinance. Without proper information, and I'll speak to myself, without really specific information of the septic field or the location of those trees, where I understand it, it may be a little different. It seems to me as though, as I visited your home, that I'd like to know more about the practical difficulty of why we can't give those extra 5 feet, or conversely, put it somewhere else, maybe in the
So if you
the
look at
northwest.
it, if you visited my home, which I believe a couple people actually did visit my home today, if you look at the layout of our property, my neighbor on the east side of me has already been granted encroachment of my property, right? And we have a very large open space on the east side of my house. If I was,
Excuse me, what do you mean by encroachment? He's on your property?
yes, his driveway was part. This was prior to my purchasing the house.
And the township had something to do with that?
I didn't live here at the time, so I think this was a gentleman's agreement with the previous owner.
Oh, okay.
And being that I'm a neighborly type of person, it doesn't affect me. But if I was to move the shed to the other east side of the property, east of the septic field in the back corner, 10 and 10, I would be in direct view of the street, right? It's a public street. I do maintain my lawn. I do have a decent amount of equipment, and we have had thefts in our neighborhood, right? So to avoid theft, I tucked it in where I did on the west, I guess that'd be the east side. I'm sorry.
Yep,
I got my direction mixed up.
that's right.
If I was put on the west side, I'd have theft potential. I tucked it in behind the west side as I race motocross, and I have a race trailer that hides what I may contain in my shed, right? Lawn equipment, neighbor across the street has had his shed broken in 3 times through the course of many, many of years,
Yeah.
right? Again, I have talked to my neighbors, except for the north neighbor. No neighbor has any problem with it. They welcomed the shed because of the landscaping. I wasn't able to do. I fortunately had a baby girl this summer, and we just kind of lost track of time.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So,
All right, well, let me bring it back to my board. I appreciate that feedback. Mr. Ritchie, any questions, thoughts, comments?
I guess I didn't see any evidence of, I guess, the neighbor's approval or disapproval.
no,
So are you saying that you did talk to your neighbors and they?
I did.
They agree?
I did. The only neighbor I did not talk to is the north neighbor. He is not out on his property, but he has brought threat of a suit to sue me if I don't get this off his property, which I fully intend to, no matter which way this meeting goes, right? My intention was never to encroach or be on his property. I did not realize, based off of tribal knowledge, that there was a 25-foot variance or 25-foot difference in how deep my property goes on one side versus the other side. If you look at the surrounding properties and where people have other existing structures like it, it's mixed up in all of our neighborhood. I don't think they kept very good records when our neighborhood was built. These are long-standing residents who built it based off of
Just
Where-
common understandings.
common understandings. Yes, correct. That'd be the best.
Mr. Zurich?
Are you the one that paid somebody to put the stakes, the survey of the lot?
Yes, I went and paid a survey, right? That was supposed to be done by this third party. I ordered a shed through Home Depot Tough Sheds with the understanding that, one, that they had the property dimensions, two, that they assumed all the necessary codes, and three, would inform me of any code violation prior to installation, right? Through a long series of back-end story that we don't need to get into, they did not do their job. I confirm that with Home Depot, that they are not, and hence why they're willing to move it free of cost to me.
Okay, so you're saying somebody told you from the surveying company that it's 18 inches off and on to your neighbors?
Oh, I mean, I can, estimate myself. I see the stakes on both sides, yes.
Oh, that's an estimate?
18 inches.
Okay.
I would say 18 inches on one side, 23
Okay.
inches
Well,
if you want to be
when I
exact.
looked at that, I got the impression that you probably could move it for sure on the east-west axis to meet the 10-foot rule, I think. I think it was far enough away from your septic field. And then north and south, it was hard, I didn't bring a measuring tape, and I don't know, I didn't measure how far off the property line you were, so I don't have the details, but I got the feeling you could, cheat it and move it right to the power lines, and you'd still clear the tree.
But if you didn't bring a measuring tape and you're asking me to make 10 feet, right?
Well-
So I mean, assumptions,
I'm not-
right?
I'm not
And that's
asking-
what, that's
I'm
what
not
got me
asking-
here, right,
Well-
is assumptions.
Well, one of the things we don't have on your survey is an indication of where the shed would be required to be in compliance with the dimensional requirements.
I
So-
did not know that was part of the necessary information that must be given to this board.
Whether it's necessary strictly or not, it is helpful for us to make a decision.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I gave a proposed drawing of where it would be for 5 and 5, based off the land survey. Again,
Well-
part of your is that it's supposed to not actually hurt the landover and create undue cost, right? So
Now,
if I wanted to.
Let me just interrupt you. Our criteria doesn't have anything to do with costs. We're looking for a unique circumstance that.
That's a unique circumstance. Cost is a real thing.
Cost is a real thing. Totally agree with that, but that's not unique to this property. Every single resident in our community has cost factors. So our real duty here is to try and understand why it cannot be put at the 10-foot and 10-foot mark. Property is different than this, maybe there's a wetland there. Boy, you can't put it in a wetland, so we'd have to consider an adjustment. Those are the types of things. The ability to use your yard, I certainly appreciate that. I like to use my yard, I like my kids to use it. I get all those things, those are real important, but dimensionally is what we're trying to come to terms with here is why should it be something different than 10-foot based on just the physical circumstances of your yard? The trees are a consideration, not necessarily, it may or may not be the consideration.
Overhead
The
power
part-
lines, existing power lines, I mean,
I don't know of any ruling from Edison about having a skid shed underneath power lines. I mean, that's,
No, their easements would be for the limited purposes of their
yeah,
power lines.
they have easements for access
But
to
they
it.
can't keep you from using the underlying property. It's just an easement.
right.
Just an access or.
It gives them
Right.
certain limited rights. They don't own the property.
Neil, any other thoughts?
Yeah, just eyeballing it, I said that we didn't,
Yeah.
so if I do it, I don't know, did you draw that on there?
No. This was printed up by my land survey company that I hired.
With the proposed new location, all of that too?
Yep, with the 5 and 5. Again, this was I was notified 2 days after I came home with my brand new baby of this problem, right? I've run around, tried to maintain a career, right? Try to get the necessary documents. Unfortunately, Oakland County for whatever reason, had very vague documents, right? If you look at the property lines that you have online, as I was given the resource by Brian here, they're vague, pictures aren't very good. We didn't have stakes. We had to first get it, we couldn't find stakes. I went out there with, you know, a proper metal detector stake finder, rent it with a experienced person. Couldn't find stakes. So I've tried everything I possibly can to make sure. All I'm asking for is a 50% reduction in the ordinance, simply to make sure that anything stored, right, people can't see. I mean, yeah, I can store things in my garage. I'm not trying to deny that. But when I have vintage motorcycles that I keep in the shed during winter time, right, that are one of a kind, just because I didn't allow my wife and my children to walk into the house appropriately and not have to track snow in, I would prefer not to move it 10 and 10. It makes it a little bit easier for me. I understand the idea is to go by the letter of the law, not necessarily the easement. But if I don't have anybody against that letter of the law, I don't understand the resistance.
No, it's never a consideration whether the neighbors agree or don't agree. Again, that can't be, it's not on our list of considerations by law,
Understand?
and it's not, I mean, if you had a neighbor objecting, of course, I'd like to hear the objection, but.
I have a neighbor trying to sue me. I mean,
Right. But the fact that none of your neighbors have objected, we can't really consider. And you say the technical requirements, our job here, this particular board, is to uphold the ordinance as it's written, unless in very narrow circumstances, there's very, very good reasons to make a difference. And I'm not seeing it. I don't know why moving that 5 feet and 5 feet is,
I mean, if you look at the original drawings that were given to me by the Oakland County about where my septic field is, I actually can't tell you where the septic field is. And I don't think either can any of you, right?
Mr. Mayor, let me hold you there for a minute. Let me get to Mr. Auger. Anything additional?
I appreciate everything you've said. I hear your problem. I want to preface by saying I believe that everything should be undercover in a person's yard, okay? But you caused your own hardship. And to me,
Understood.
I cannot hear your case because you caused your own hardship. One call to the building department here at Township Hall, you don't have to come in, you just make a phone call. What is the requirements for a land use permit to put the shed? Now, I'm a builder, I'm a real estate broker, okay? My suggestion to you is to go on the Lara site at the state of Michigan, file a complaint against Home Depot. There's got to be a licensed builder. You signed a contract with them over $600.
well, except he said Home Depot is gonna pay to move it.
Well,
Yeah, they have
he's-
assumed
he's-
all responsibilities themselves.
He's going through this
Yeah.
because of Home Depot now following his contract. He didn't make a call to the Township Hall if he's gonna put a new roof on his house. He's gonna call the township and see, do I need a permit for my roof? Okay?
Actually, I'm gonna hire a contractor, and I'm
But-
gonna sign a contract as I did, and expect the contractor to follow the rules and regulations that
There's-
are stated in their contract
There's-
that say they will pull the contract.
There's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. That's the building permit, okay? That's to be posted
Understood.
at the location. Did they ever post one? Okay.
Because it's a temporary structure, I don't believe that was required.
Okay.
Right?
But they had to have a land use permit. Somebody
They
did.
do have to have a land permit, as I was found out after the fact. And as my contract stated, they were to hence the regional director of Tough Sheds, which is the third party owned by or hired by Home Depot, has explicitly in an email said, one, it's their mistake.
Guys,
right?
let me cut you off, because I appreciate all that, and I understand it, but it's really not relevant to the 5
Well,
foot.
he's making it
fi-
relevant.
No, that's why I said, guys, I'm cutting you both off. I'd like to pause a minute here, Mr. Auger, unless you've got any
No,
other
I was just gonna say that, there's no hardship on his lot
right.
to place the shed. It's flat, almost a level lot. There's plenty of location to put it, 10 foot, 10 foot, to meet our ordinance. I don't feel that, in this case, we can, allow the shed to be.
Before we get to a motion, let me open it up for public comment. There are a few people online. Is there anybody online that would like to comment on this case? Either, let me see, wonder how I drive if I can't even read those. G or RC, is that?
That's right.
That's Dr. Christensen.
Dr.
And then
Christensen.
Gus.
Gus, nothing on this either?
It's just monitoring us.
That's right. With that, I will bring, no, thank you, okay. With that, I'll bring it back to the board for any additional questions or a motion.
Well, I'll make a motion in case number 25-018 to deny the request as published for the reasons that the petitioner caused his own hardship, and there is no hardship on his lot whatsoever to where the shed can't be moved to 10 foot off all property lines in the rear.
Can we add to that that there were no exceptional circumstances that make it substantially more difficult than for the great majority of the properties in the neighborhood?
Yes,
That's one of our
please.
key considerations.
I would accept that.
Okay,
So we have a motion.
I'll support.
And it's been supported by Mr. Wallace. Mr. Amman, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Epping,
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Zurich,
Yes.
Mr. Auger.
Yes.
Mr. Madden, I appreciate your time. I certainly
Can I make
appreciate.
one comment before?
Please.
I ask as a courtesy to the residents of Clarkston. I was unaware, right, that you guys would be coming out to my property and walking my property.
You signed an affidavit.
Just ring the doorbell, be a nice, polite person. Ring the doorbell, tell them what you're doing,
That's
right? With a suit being filed against me, right? I particularly take a little exception to people just wandering onto my property, right? And that's all I ask,
That-
right? That seems common sense, but common sense ain't so common. So I appreciate, and probably for the rest of the residents, if you do show up,
It's a good
politely
reminder.
knock on the door.
It's a good reminder. We appreciate that.
Thank
I'll
you.
make one comment on that. We have township IDs that Mr. Ottman has made
People have
for
guns.
us.
That's just the reality of unfortunate life,
I
right?
drove by your house yesterday. I'm very familiar. I've done a lot of work in that subdivision.
Good.
So I saw your
Thank you,
shed
Ward.
in the corner.
Thank you.
Ms. Madden. All right, gentlemen, thank you for that. We have the October 1st, 2025 minutes from our meeting in October in the packet. If you've had a chance to review those, we can,
Move to approve.
Support.
we have motion and support to approve the minutes of October 1st. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have published minutes. Thank you. At this point, the meeting remains open. We're on to item I for any discussion.
I had one on the back case that I was going to ask Brian on, and I can't think of what the case was. I'm sorry.
Hearing no other discussion, I will close item I, and I will move to adjourn at 7:04
Support.
PM. Support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Hello, Mr. Moran.